how do we get better at analyzing a particular question when it comes to approaching upon how we can solve it? Like there are so many details we can focus upon. How do we get into that one specific detail which may be the probable way where we can approach this problem?
I think you're asking for physics, no? Sai Prasad?
Physics, yeah.
Yes. Sai Prasad is good in physics, but he is while solving problem, he is facing so many problems. Okay, he is very interested in physics. So you can give Risabh guidance. Consider.
This is a very difficult question to answer because there's no trick. I attended a maths Olympiad camp, and there it's Olympiad maths. I'm sure you guys are familiar with how difficult it is. And one student kept asking the teacher, how do you think of this? What is the motivation behind this? What can you do? How will I be able to think of this? The sir just got irritated. What he said is, that's the difference between a good student and a bad student. So the thing is, how a good physics people good in physics get the right approach is they have read a lot and they have practiced a lot of questions. For every single person, I'm sure here would have faced this doubt once in a while, because it's a very complicated thing, physics. How do you know which if you take a particular system as the free body diagram, the answer comes out in one step. And even I was very surprised, how do you think of this? And but later I became the person who will be like, sir, this actually, if you just take this, it comes in 2 steps. And when my friends ask me how I got this idea is, I would say, this actually relates to this question we had in this chapters. If you just modify these 2 things to these 2 different things, it will relate to this question. So you have to do a lot of questions. And number 2, see how questions can be modified and see how a new approach can be used for different problems. You have to connect everything like a graph and a mesh in your brain. You know how fisherman's nets are, right? You have to connect all concepts and problems like that in your head. And you have to know when to pick out the right things. If you have not solved a lot of problems, it won't be possible. The only way to do it is get a lot of experience. And it's okay to falter. It's okay to struggle. It's okay if your friends are scoring more than you. Just put in the effort and try to catch up.
More number of practice required. Okay. I think children are mostly facing in physics only. So they know concept while solving the problems, they trap it. Okay, how to approach the problem. Okay, good. So they require actually to solve the max number questions. Okay, here, Akanksha Malik, can you ask your questions?
Yes, sir. So I wanted to ask how important it is to focus on Olympiads for JEE, or is it even important? Does it help?
So if you look at the top 60 ranks, some of them are chemistry and physics, IPHO, ICHO gold medalists. Some of them have never written an Olympiad in their life. But what I'd suggest is, in class 9th and 10th and 11th, actually, you can give a good sort of importance to Olympiads, because they will help you get uncomfortable in solving difficult questions and getting used to that discomfort. Do look at the Olympiads. Do give them a good shot. I think 11th, I wouldn't suggest doing Olympiad seriously in 12th standard, but until 11th standard, you can give them a good shot, and they will, whether they'll help or not in JEE is a difficult question to answer, but they will not help directly. Physics and chemistry, though, the first levels, they are very much like JEE. If you're good in JEE, you'll be able to clear the first 2 levels. But once it gets to the subjective parts, and once it gets to camps, and once it gets to going international, those sorts of things will not help, but they will help you in learning how to solve difficult questions. That's what I'll say.
Akanksha, anything else?
Yes, sir. One more thing. Are
One more.
Fiji tests alone sufficient for preparation, or did you take up some other tests as well?
For JEE, right?
Yeah, for JEE.
So Fiji tests are sufficient. I honestly think for tests you can check out online. You will have different papers, but the thing is, our center, they gave us a lot of papers from different institutes. They'll put those questions in our papers, and they'll make sure we are not used to their sort of language. They'll give in different sort of language. They'll have papers where they'll focus on different sorts of things. So it depends on your experience with exams. If just download a paper from some other coaching institute and see if it's very different from yours. If it is very different from yours, do try those papers. But if it is not very different and you're seeing similar questions, it's not really required. The only advantage to doing tests from different places is getting used to different sorts of languages and getting used to different sort of priorities, because maybe Fiji tests focus too much on coordinate geometry. That's very possible. In that case, you have to try different papers. But if you feel you're getting an all-round development, it's not required. For example, I think you will have MyPat, AITS tests, KVPY tests, and those sorts of things will be different from the language you get at Fiji. So don't focus too much on trying too many papers, but at the same time, make sure you get the variety.
Thank you.
Yes, wait, I think next, Dakshita. Dakshita, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here, sir.
Yes, you can ask.
First of
Dakshita.
all, congratulations. Yeah, I'm in 9th right now. So, like, for my first thing is, like, in 11th, you switched to integrated coaching, right? So, like, how did you first get into, you got into MEM, right? Like, how did you get into MEM?
Yeah.
And, like, was there some sort of, like, entrance, like, what, and did it help also integrated in your coaching?
Yeah. So I can talk about that. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to disclose. I don't want to get into all those politics. But yeah, I can talk to you. So the reason I went to integrated is I wanted more competition and I wanted more rigor. I wanted to put my focus towards JEE because that was my goal. I was motivated towards it and I wanted to work towards it. I've heard many stories of people who have gone to integrated, got scared by the competition, and have lost motivation. So that's always there. How I got into, so coming to how I got into integrated, it was through the Big Bang exam. So I can tell you about it. So if you want to comfortably get into integrated, try to aim for a rank below 100. But I went a bit overboard and I wanted to be like, oh, no, rank above 100 is not enough. I want to work very hard, and because I know the competition is going to be bad, so I'm going to prove to everyone that I can make it there, and I will be challenging the others there. So I think I worked 2 months for it, and I got rank 1 actually. So that's the thing. If you want to join integrated, get ready for a lot of competition, get ready for a lot of hard work. I don't think many people in 9th and 10th who are in Fiji classroom program are, integrated is the best thing for them. But I knew it was the best thing for me. If you think it's the best thing for you, join it. If you're ready to put in a lot of hard work and you want more competition, you like getting uncomfortable, go for integrated.
Yes, good, very good. So I like this thing. Good. You motivate. Okay, you motivate. If you want to get IT, you should be in discomfort zone, right? If you don't have discomfort, forget IT. There's no IT for such kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. There's nothing without hard work, and there's nothing without struggles.
Yes. Exactly. Very. Yes,
Sir,
anyone?
one more question, sir.
Oh,
Sir, one
okay,
more
okay.
question.
Mhm.
Okay, and then like a lot of people have told me advanced paper comes like from nothing you practice, like whatever you practice won't come in the papers. Is that like true or like I mean talking about discomfort?
When I opened my advanced paper, that was the case. When I opened it, I was like, what is this? I'm not cut out for this sort of questions. I felt like that. And I think many of the toppers would have felt like that, because this year was an especially lengthy and tricky paper. But some papers are easy, some papers are moderate. See, what is different about advances? The question style and the question language. You get used to Fiji papers. That's the problem. You get used to that sort of language. You would have seen 10% of the questions before. So because of that psychology, you will feel that advance is new. You'll feel that it's weird. Plus, there is you have to go to a center. You have to sit there 1 hour before you open the paper itself, and it's there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of problem. It's a hot day. They do not put the AC. There's a power cut in the middle. All those sorts of um, unfavorable situations happen, and all those can affect your psychology. And that is the reason people say advance is nothing like what.
I think it is stuck. Wait. I think it's stuck. His video is stuck. But he will come back. Message. His video is stuck. I think he will rejoin. Meanwhile, I think Sanjana Karnataka Siraghav is there. It's okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Beatrice, so, yes, I can hear you. Yes, Risabh. I think you video was saying, yes, yes.
Yeah, I think I was cut off.
It's okay, no problem.
Yeah, maybe a Wi-Fi problem. So to summarize a bit of what I said, the reason why advance is nothing like what you practice this, it's not ideal conditions. That's the main reason. And there is a language difference. I don't think question wise and the concepts you need to use to solve a question are very different. The language might be different, the mode might be different, you might not be comfortable with the computer. So try having some sorts of unwanted distractions in your exam, and maybe try writing an exam when you have a bit of a cold, because some days I would feel very tired, but I'll still go to class, because I know that my advanced exam, I'm not going to feel perfect. I'm not going to feel like, hey, I've prepared everything. I'm going to get rank 1. I'm going to solve every question correctly in 3 minutes. It's not going to be like that. You'll have a false sense of comfort in the preparation, and that's the reason why advance never feels like what you've practiced.
Yes. Sanjana, is your question over? Dakshita? Okay. Sanjana, can you ask question? Sanjana.
Yes. Seeing as you studied in integrated in MVM in 11th standard, you would have had chapters every month, and it would be in each chapter, physics, chemistry, and maths. So you'd have at least 3 or 4 chapters every month. And when you studied, you had to self-analyze and, solve all the tab questions, and then do extra questions for chemistry, say Ms. Chauhan, and then for maths and physics in Cengage. When did you have time for all of that? Because school would start at 8:30, and then how long would it take for you to get home?
Yeah.
When you get time to practice.
So the thing is, me telling that I didn't do all these XYZ books, it was true for organic chemistry, it was true for coordinate geometry, because those were chapters I struggled in. I realized I needed to do the basic things like package and tab. So for all other chapters, I did do it. Honestly, I was saved by the online thing in 11th standard. And I understand that when will you have the time to do Cengage, or when will you have the time to do package and tab? that is a good concern in integrated. I would suggest maybe see, when you return home at 8:30 after a very long day, I personally feel very tired. All I do is I eat and sleep. I sleep maybe early at 10 o'clock, but then I can wake up at 4:30 in the morning and study for a good time. So I preferred working in the morning. That's when I did most of my work. Some people preferred studying until 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. That didn't suit my
In your
personal
scene.
preferences.
Yes, in your scene, yes.
So for me, if I have to answer your question directly, I did all my things in the morning. Figure out what works best for you, though it might not work out for you.
Okay. And while preparing for JEE, when you have to focus more on when you want to focus on Olympiads, you will have to complete the chapters in advance. Like if you want to give Olympiads in 11th, you have to complete the chapters of that subject in 12th too. So what did you do during those times? Because you had to focus on Fiji and then a school maybe a bit before exams and then all the Olympiads too.
So for my preparation for Olympiads, honestly, I didn't do too much of preparation. I did preparation for JEE, which will help in Olympiads, and I did preparation for Olympiads, which will help in JEE. I did sort of work which will help me in both of those things. And I did attend Maths Olympiad camp and Astronomy Olympiad camp, where I had to sacrifice like 2 to 3 weeks of JEE. So how I finished all that work is I would see the live recordings of classes. I don't think that'll work for you because you will have things offline right now. But maybe ask your friends for your notes and learn it. Finish everything on the day itself, because most of the people in 12th standard who are asking me questions like how to prepare for JEE, their most common question was how to clear backlogs. And the only way to answer that is don't have backlogs. Make sure you work a little bit every day. Maybe if you have a new goal like an Olympiad, wake up half an hour every day, spend just half an hour on that Olympiad, but make sure it's a routine and you do it every single day. And the small efforts of every day build up. They say little drops make an ocean, right? It's that sort of concept. I think consistency and moderated work, don't do too much of it, but do it every day. Those sorts of things will help more than sitting one day and burning the midnight oil, working until 4 o'clock and then only sleeping, waking up at 7 o'clock and then starting JEE prep. Those sorts of things don't work a little bit every day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think Sirako, do you have any questions? Sirako Muthukumar.
So first of all, I have like 2 questions.
Okay.
That I want to ask you. Hello, congrats for clearing Jee Advance. It's really nice to see that. My first question is that I have been like seriously affected with my mobile recently, and I'm trying to stop it, but I'm not able to overcome it, and it's really like troubling me in my studies, and I'm really making it so hard, and I'm getting so less marks in chemistry and physics. Even though I like study till 12 o'clock, my mind tells me to watch till like 1:30 or something, and then sleep. I work like 3 hours or 4 hours a day, but then I'm like my mind also tells me to at least watch mobile for like 1 or 2 hours, which like gives me a lot of addiction, etc. How do you overcome it? How do you
Any experience?
Yeah, any experience problem?
I watch a lot of YouTube, first of all, and all in my mobile, so I understand. Advice I would say is switch off your mobile, or give your parents your mobile and say, do not give it to me until tomorrow evening. Do things like that, and just take responsibility. Just keep it locked away, or just give it away, or I understand also what you're saying about after working for a lot, I want to watch a little bit of mobile before I go to bed, because it's that gratification mechanism, right? You want to reward yourself for the work. I have finished all this. Let me watch mobile and go to bed. I would suggest do not use mobile for the last 1 hour before you go to bed, because it affects your sleep. I think it's all been scientifically proven, but maybe not. I'm not very sure, but don't, in my opinion, don't use mobile 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed, because you really need good sleep as a person who's working for a lot of time. I never went below 6 hours of sleep a day. Some of my friends did 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, or maybe they didn't even sleep. I don't know, but I slept on average 7 hours a day. And on the worst days during tight times, it was still 6 hours a day. So I had to learn. I actually installed a screen time app in my phone, which will lock after a while. So you have to be mature, and the maturity has to come from yourself. You don't look for your parents to monitor and micromanage everything you do. You give your mobile to them. You install a screen time in your app. You switch off your mobile phone, and once the maturity kicks in, you should be fine.
Good, very good. Yes, Sriya, any question? I think Sai Prasad.
My
Okay.
next question is like, sir, I have one more question.
Okay.
Even I was in KK Nagar for like the past 2 years, but then I shifted to integrated myself. I'm currently in class 9, and I am in integrated AIR branch. And I feel that all my friends and everything, the competition is like so high. I think you have mentioned it even in your batch, but the competition is so high, and I'm studying for like so much hours, and yet I'm unable to scope marks in my exam, and I feel so depressed myself that why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Like I'm able to memorize every formula in physics, understand every concept that what they have taught. I am like I'm not like having a lot of backlogs, yet I'm unable to like score marks. Like I'm like because I have done like lot of problems in physics. I feel that I want to do something in physics, and yet I am not getting good marks in physics, which makes me unsatisfied.
Yeah, that's a good point. Competition will be very high. There were some times in my integrated coaching where for 5 exams in a row, the topper guy will be 40 marks above me. That happens, and the thing is, efforts don't directly reflect in your scores. That's something you have to understand, and it's very difficult to digest. I truly understand, but the case one is it's that sort of a situation where your work will not be reflected immediately in your scores, but it's good to figure out exactly why that's the case. So what I'd suggest for that is, when you're practicing physics, when you memorize all the formulae, make your own test at home. Maybe do a 1 or 20-minute thing. Keep a little bit of distractions, but write it as a test. Imagine this is the most important test of your life, and write with that sort of pressure, and see if in that pressure you're able to score or not. Because exam temperament is very different from practicing problems and reading the theory. So maybe exam temperament is your problem. In that case, make maybe 20% of your practice. Maybe every 100 questions you do 80 questions normally. Do every 20 questions as a test, and there you'll figure out where exactly you're going wrong. You have to find out what exactly is the problem. You have to narrow it down. And once you realize what exactly is the problem, you'll be able to figure out what exactly is the solution. So figure out what part of the exam is causing difficulty to you, and work on that specifically.
I think Sai Prasad, quickly, I think time is also running. Sai Prasad.
Like talking about in perspective of improvement, would you say competition with yourself is more important, or like with people around you? Like, what do you think is better, or do you consider both?
You have to consider both. Competition with yourself is difficult because you can't compare your your vectors chapters with your organic chemistry chapters, right? You can't say, oh, my organic chemistry chapter score is less, therefore I'm doing worse, because comparing with yourself is very difficult. It can only start once you start writing your full tests and you write those regularly. Maybe you can compare your phase exams. I'm not sure what structure of exams you have. So during my 11th and 12th preparation, while I was learning the concepts, I actually compared more with others. But once it got to a point where I was stopping more exams than I could, I would compare with myself. So while comparing with others, definitely do that. Don't stop doing that. I've heard a lot like, don't compare with anyone. Just make sure you're better than how you were yesterday. All those sorts of quotes and motivational things. But it's don't do completely that either. So when you want to compare with yourself, how you do is open the test after you have completed. See, could I have solved this question actually in the exam? Was I of that capability? If not, why didn't I solve it in the exam? Why did I make a calculation error? Why did I misread the question? Do those sorts of things and see whether your actual score is what you would have scored on an ideal day. Those sorts of comparisons with yourself are useful. And at the same time, compare with others. See the top score. See how that topper solved this question. See if he has seen the questions before, or see if he is faster in calculations, and do those sorts of comparisons too.
Okay. I think
another question also. Like ask another question too. Like while solving in a midway, we tend to like have an intuition that probably this option might be correct, because like probably you may term it as educated guessing or something. But do you think it's a good practice in general, or would you like advise me to like solve the thing completely and then arrive to a proper conclusion?
You don't have to solve it in the perfect, most lawful way. You don't have to do that, but at the same time, don't guess, because that won't help you in Jee Advanced. For example, this year many of the multi-correct questions had only one option as correct, and one question it had like a lot of data, and you'd assume that the option which required a lot of data, those sorts of options will be correct because they're harder to get at. But then instead they gave the hard option as incorrect and the most obvious answer as the only correct thing in multi-correct. Those sorts of things will not help you in JA and they will get you negative marks. But it's good to experiment in your practice exams. Focus on what intuition is correct, and you're allowed to do intelligent guessing, but make sure that your shortcuts and tips and tricks gets you the answer basically confirms the answer for you. There are shortcuts which make you tell, oh, it's obviously this option, it cannot be these options. Focus on those sorts of shortcuts which are reliable.
Thanks.
Okay, Sriraman, come on. As a time is also very less. Sriraman, he's in class 11.
So I'm in grade 11 right now. As a grade 11 student, you are exposed to a lot of resources. So how would you prioritize solving those, like from package, tab, and archives and other books? So how would your order be?
My order would be okay. Again, this varies on person to person. You have to figure out what's best for you actually. But I'll tell you my order. First, it's class notes. Then it was tab. Then it was package. Then it was archives, and then it was extra books. I don't know if they'll work for you. Some of my friends did package before tab. I did tab before package because I like tab. And yeah, that's basically it.
Sriraman, any question?
Yes, sir. So how would you usually, if you cannot solve a question, so would you suggest looking it up online, or would you ask all your doubts to your teacher? So do you think online we can clear doubts in a better way?
I kept my Googling of questions which I didn't know to a minimum. The only time I Googled my questions was when I was pretty sure there was a typo. In that case, when I Google the questions, I'll be like, oh, the question is different. I shouldn't have wasted my time on this. Only in those sorts of circumstances I Google. I wouldn't resort going online for the solutions. Ask your faculty, and even more than your faculty, you can ask your friends actually, because I'm sure you'll have really smart people wherever you are, and ask them for tips and tricks, because sometimes your faculty get busy, but you can always ask your friends.
And also, we are exposed to a lot of exams like RDX and various chapters. And my performance right now is not up to the mark. So how would you suggest preparing for advanced level exams like RDX and AITS?
RDX AITS, how you prepare is you pick up difficult books and you focus on difficult questions. But even exams like RDX and AITS will have a certain number of easy questions. You have to be very good in question hunting and picking the right questions. They'll help you get maybe like 50% on those exams. But if you really want to excel and you want to be the topper, you have to do a lot of the hi-fi extra books. But I wouldn't suggest doing that unless you can solve easy questions with 90% accuracy and in 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Diksha, yes, you can ask question. Diksha.
Yes, sir. So I'm Diksha in class 9. Okay. So my doubt was, should we completely stop extracurriculars or anything apart from studying, especially ones which needs like some practice or something?
Some of my friends didn't have any extracurriculars. All they did was JEE. The thing is, if you want to maintain extracurriculars, you can definitely do that. I played the piano maybe once in 2 days, even in the tightest points of my JEE preparation, because music was an outlet for me. You can do those sorts of things, and you have to sacrifice. You have to compromise. But if you manage your time very well, you don't need to stop extracurriculars. You can always continue them.
Okay, there's one more doubt. Is reducing breaks actually a way to increase our productivity?
Yeah, this again depends on the person. Some of my friends preferred the 4 hours in a go, 5 hours in a go sort of working. What I liked is 1 hour, 10 minutes break, 1 hour, 10 minutes break, those sorts of sessions. So if you're working for a long time, you'll need longer breaks. If you're working for a short time, have shorter breaks. The thing is, with all these sorts of advice, the same advice doesn't work for every person. So you have to do your own experimentation.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wait. And Sirago, just ask last question because I think time is too much. Risabh has given too much time. Yes, Risabh. Yes, Sirago, last question. Sirago?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, we have face exams for right. So there is something called as mains type of test and JEE advanced test. So what I'm feeling is I know a lot of concepts, but suppose JEE advanced problem has like multi-type correct questions, which is like, suppose for a question, let's take that the answers are A, B, C, D, where I just mark A, B, C, and I don't know D, and I just left it, and I feel like I feel like I know the concepts very well, and I don't know why I'm making the silliest mistakes possible, and by this I'm gradually losing a lot of marks, and I'm struggling to score a lot of marks, and it's like making me so depressed and not to solve chemistry at all, because actually I lose a lot of mark in chemistry these days. So how did you overcome? Did you have any fears like that, or did you face any difficulty?
Yeah, so during the start of my preparation, I was the type to be very slow. I take a lot of time for questions and I wouldn't attempt that many, but I'll still get quite a few wrong. So, but if you're the type to attempt a lot of questions and leave out partials or get negative markings in multi-correct, what I'd suggest is attempt less questions. It's okay if your scores go bad, because eventually they will. I mean, yeah. So don't focus too much on your scores. Maybe if you're attempting 50 out of 60 in an exam, attempt 45 out of 60 in the next exam. Make sure you make only 2 mistakes. if 45 out of 60 is not low enough for that, make it 40 out of 60. Get to a point where your accuracy is above 90% and build up speed from there. That'll help you more than trying to attempt more questions and getting more negative markings. Attempt the ones you're extremely sure of and make sure you're getting 90% correct there, and then build up the number of questions and your speed. Don't get depressed with your scores, because scores will fluctuate. Scores do not reflect your true ability, and one exam or even multiple exams does not reflect your knowledge and is an accurate statement about you. So just work on improvement. Don't care about scores too much, especially if you're in 11th and 12th and you're still learning the concept. Once you get to the final exams, when you have full tests, and those times you can focus a lot on scores. But right now, don't get depressed with scores, and focus on learning, and focus on trying new things, and focus on experimenting.
That's all. I think, Risabh, you have given so much time to everyone, and I'm just I need to wind up this whole session. Actually, it is I talked to 45 minutes, on to 1 hour. Okay, so thank you, Risabh, for giving all guidance to your all juniors, and I hope whatever you said they will follow. And in case anyone, I can see some students still have a doubt, so I can share the Risabh WhatsApp number. Okay, let me ask it. What's number is there?
Please send my numbers.
Okay, so you can.
I love helping juniors and interacting with them.
Yes, please.
So if you have any remaining questions, please ask me through WhatsApp. I'll be happy to help. And asking questions is very important. These sorts of doubts you had and you're asking me, right? Ask your faculty and ask your friends, because they'll also give very useful advice. And I'm no genius or anything. I feel like all I did is I did the easy questions correctly. Sometimes that's all that's required. And keep asking questions and keep inquiring about different things.
Okay, thank you, Risabh. Thank you.
Just a small question. I won't take much of your time. What do you think should be the priority out of the exams we generally read during our FG times, like CMAT and mid-phase and phase and RDX? Like, what do you think should be given more importance over the other, or do you say we need to attempt all of them in a good way?
I'd suggest first write every exam. That's very important. Don't skip exams. Don't think some exam is too easy, not meant for you. Don't think some exam is too difficult, not meant for you. First write them, because you'll learn something from every exam, and it depends on your goal, honestly. If you want a very good rank, you have to focus on exams like RDX, ATS. You have to get comfortable in the most difficult questions and struggle with them. If your goal is to just get into NIT and get a good mains rank, for example, you can focus on CMAT. You can focus on, I think you'll have BrahMos also. I think you guys wrote a few BrahMos exam. Focus on phase exams. Make sure you do the easy questions with 90% accuracy, because every exam has a different skill set and will test a different part of you. So make sure you're good in all those sorts of things.
And also, so you suggest that accuracy is more important than trying to attempt as many questions as you can.
Again, depends on the person, but I'd like for you to build accuracy before you develop speed. It should be in that order.
Fine, thanks.
Thank you, Risabh. I think I have taken also too much time. So, children, I will share your Risabh number. If anyone have doubt, personally, you can ask in WhatsApp also. You can contact with him. Okay. So, Risabh, many thanks. You have guided so many things to all my juniors, all your juniors also. And personally, I can give also advice, but your advice is much more important. Okay. So once again, thank you. So children, I believe you can follow his advice, and I will share your numbers. So after this interview, okay. So thank you, Risabh, and again for attending this interview. Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm ending this
no
meeting.
Problem. Really happy to help.
Yes, sir. Really. Okay. So I'm just ending. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, sir.
Bye. Good night to everyone.